Hi and welcome to Dean Park as I put an all new model under close inspection. In this video I take a look at the all new Class 37 from Accurascale, which arrived at Dean Park earlier this month. This model competes directly with the all new Class 37 released by Bachmann 12 months ago, so its arrival was always going to generate some excitement within the hobby. Accurascale now have Bachmann firmly locked in their sights as they try to produce the best loco in this class. We really are entering a golden age of 00 gauge modelling, and it's my opinion that Bachmann and Accurascale are flying high above the rest when it comes to producing detailed diesel and electric locos. However, Accurascale are going to have to do something special, as the Bachmann Class 37 model is already a stunning recreation of this English electric Type 3. So, have Accurascale done enough to challenge the Icemen of Barwell? Who will be top gun in this English electric dogfight? Will one prove to be the best of the best, while the other is simply the best of the rest? Well, strap yourself in for takeoff and stay tuned to find out. The 37 I've got here to review today was ordered upon its announcement over 2 years ago. This model is a split box Class 37 subclass 0 with car headlight fitted, and it wears the very attractive metal sector livery. I will go over this model and give my thoughts before putting it up against the equivalent type from Bachmann in the guise of 37012, which is also a 37/0 with car light fitted. This is sure to be a thrilling contest, but before I get stuck in, here's a pot history of the actual 37051 locomotive. This particular loco rolled out of the English Electric Vulcan Works in August 1962, numbered D6751, and was renumbered to 37051 under the top system in early 1974. As built, it was a 37 subclass 0, details of which I will cover shortly. The loco transferred from March TMD in Cambridgeshire up to Eastfield in Glasgow in March 1981, wearing standard BR blue livery with full yellow ends. At this point it still had its buffer beam cowlings in place and glazed headcode boxes displaying the domino marker lights, before receiving plated over versions with small white opaque marker discs. When allocated to Eastfield, it undertook general duties, which could include passenger services from Glasgow Queen Street up to Fort William or Mallaig, or fuel oil tankers or timber trains to Oban. It was also active around the Central Belt and up the East Coast, serving Dundee, Perth and Fife. This makes it ideal for Dean Park and falls into the latter part of the era in which I model. In the mid-1980s, its buffer beam cowling was cut away and it gained oval buffers instead of the circular type. It was at this time it received its distinctive car headlight, which was fitted to the right centre of one of the plated over doors. During this time it received its large logo livery, with full yellow cab sections from the driver's door forward, with black top nose and cab window surrounds. It was also fitted with black painted marker plates at this time. In March 1987 this loco was transferred to Motherwell, and by 1989 it was part of the freight metals pool. It was around this time that it received its attractive subsector grey livery, as depicted on the Accurascale model. 051 was transferred to Cardiff Canton in May 1992, but was back north of the border a year later, being allocated to Inverness. The loco continued in service well into privatisation and was acquired by EWS. It continued to operate until 2005, when it was allocated for disposal, before finally meeting its end at Sims in January 2008, having achieved 46 years of age. As mentioned earlier, 37051 was a 37 subclass 0 loco. This designation covered all 309 locomotives as built, but with such a large number of locomotives and with 2 companies involved in the building, there were several differences within this subclass alone. The most visible external difference was that the first 119 locos originally had split headcode boxes. These were used for displaying 4-digit train reporting numbers that were displayed in 2 square boxes, each containing 2 digits, these being separated by a pair of connecting doors. The doors were designed to allow train crew to be exchanged while in motion, but these were rarely used in operation. Later locomotives had a single centrally placed headcode box and also had the horns mounted on the roof, rather than being built into the nose of the locomotive. I'll start off by saying that this is probably the most important review that I've done to date. Why is that? Well, the Class 37 has been such an integral part of our railways for well over 60 years, and is without doubt up there with the very best of the modernisation plan's successes, of which some might argue there were very few. However, for me the 37 along with the 47 are the diesel icons of British rail. You can park your Class 31s, 56s, 60s and 66s, as they don't come close to icon status, but the 37 does. First off, before I'd even received my new Accurascale 37, I'd heard and read about all the hype. I'd also heard the "oh but it's not right" comments. However, I'll make up my own mind in this review from the perspective of a modelling enthusiast and paying customer. I hope you enjoy this review and welcome all feedback in the comment section below. I'd also be really grateful if you could remember to like, subscribe and also to hit that notification bell to be alerted of all future content from Dean Park. The theatre that is created upon opening the sturdy box is enhanced by the very well thought out information booklet, which is cleverly presented to look like an old BR manual, complete with rusty staples. I also like the warning panel information that must be studied before operating this model. The information side of things is completed with a nice card listing all the functions for this sound fitted loco. I like the card style Accurascale have adopted. It's made from sturdy card, doesn't get folded or creased, and is much easier to refer to than other manufacturers' function lists. I can imagine some modelers having these cards nicely filed just to pull out the correct card for the loco they want to operate. I can see myself typing out the Bachmann function lists and getting them printed on a similar size card to make it easier to see what function does what. With the loco freed from its packaging, I get a first glance at the English Electric Type 3, and straight away it oozes the look and feel of a Class 37. First off, let's address the livery. This is simply stunning, and the quality of application is flawless. All edges are crisp and sharp, and it's been beautifully applied. The colours look spot on, and the correct shades of grey and yellow have been used. Moving to the nose, and here I'm treated to a wealth of detail, both moulded and separately fitted. By looking carefully, you can see that the doors and the head code covers are individual parts that have been fitted to the nose with precision. At the top of the head code boxes are incredibly fine handles, and above those, two very well defined horn grills. The lamp irons are separate parts, and whilst crisply moulded, the method employed to fit them leaves a slightly awkward gap where they fit onto the nose. However, the sander filler detail is really well moulded, which is at the correct height, and also the paint covers this with perfection, with no sign of thinning in this tiny recess. The curve at the top of the nose has been captured to perfection, as has the all-important curve on the three windows. These three windows are fitted to perfection. They really are so good. The glazing is really thin and you don't get any prismy effect. It also gives you a great view of the highly detailed cab, where the printing in there is pin sharp. It's long been an area that's divided opinion, but with this new model we finally have a Class 37 that captures the almost sad looking face of this locomotive. The taper of the nose looks really accurate as well. Now I'm not saying that Bachmann's 37 has missed the mark here either, but the Accurascale model is looking pretty strong. Looking at the car headlight fitted, it's at the correct height and the lamp itself is extremely nicely moulded. The roof doors are correctly proportioned but perhaps a little flat. They are good, but a little bit softer than the Bachmann model. The buffer beam area shows a set of holes for the pipework and cables to be fitted. It's also good to see that Accurascale have given us the option of a one-piece or a three-piece snowplough, while still allowing the fitting of the pipework detail. For a Scottish modeller, this is vital for me, as the majority of 37s had ploughs fitted, sometimes a full set, but on occasions with the centre plough missing in the summer months. The corners have robust feeling steps as fitted to the Rio 37051. The piston parts of the buffer should be dark though, and not silver. You'll perhaps notice that no guard irons have been fitted to the front of the bogies. These are fitted to deflect obstacles on the track. However, snowplough fitted 37s didn't have these, but Accurascale have cleverly thought of this, providing these irons in the detailing pack. Whilst I've not fitted any of the detail yet, official images show just how impressive the front end looks with all the detail added, and I'll be doing this shortly. The NEM pocket is not part of the bogie, so can easily be pulled out prior to fitting these details. This is an area that blows the Bachmann model away, as with their 37 I have to make a choice between pipework or ploughs, which isn't really good enough by today's standards. Anyway, Back to the Accurascale model as I move to the bogies. These are works of art and show full relief with very discreet fine bogie chains. These are neatly attached to the chassis and don't cause any of the issues that were found on the Deltic model. Accurascale have clearly listened and taken on some feedback here. Moving on to the roof, and once again we are treated to a real feast of detail. The moulding is really crisp, as you'd expect from a brand new tooling, and the roof fan area reveals a non-rotating fan sitting under a very fine etched mesh. Moving along to the centre, and there are separately fitted hinges to the roof doors. This is a nice touch, but I feel that they sit a little bit too high and might be prone to damage by careless handling. Nevertheless, they are neatly fitted, and I commend Accurascale for going to this extra effort. The sides and underframe show lots of finely moulded detail. The side grills are exquisite, as is the subtle tumble home curve at the bottom of the body sides. This model sits nice and low on its bogies, but these still give free movement. All printed detail is done to near perfection, with silver BR arrows at one end and the anvil depot plaques of Motherwell nicely printed at the other. Accurascale really have provided modellers with a stunning model, but how does it compare to Bachmann's version? Let's take a look, shall we? Looking front on, I see two great looking and accurately modelled Class 37s, but I also see the different approach each manufacturer has gone about designing and assembling their own respective models. Firstly, the Bachmann lamp irons on the Class 37 are a little tidier when fitted to the model. The way they've been attached just gives them a slightly cleaner look. On the headcode boxes, we've got small handles at the top, and it's here that the Accurascale model is slightly more accurately proportioned compared to the overly sized ones on the Bachmann Class 37. Accurascale's 37 also has better definition of the horn grills and the areas around the tail light housings. The central door on the Accurascale model is a separately fitted part, whilst on the Bachmann it's part of the nose moulding. Hinges on the door of the Accurascale model are better. Talking of nose mouldings, due to the Bachmann having a one-piece nose on their models, you can get a slightly unsightly seam where it's fixed to the rest of the body. Side nose grills on both models are really impressive, however they are a little crisper on 37051. Maybe this is due to the thickness of paint coverage applied to the Bachmann model. The Accurascale buffer and snowplough design trumps the Bachmann model, as I touched on earlier. Both models have nicely sprung buffers, both with a quality feel and robust spring mechanism. I prefer the definition on the nose roof doors on the Bachmann model, but the thinner glazing on the Accurascale one. Okay, the Bachmann example here has the deluxe glazing, but it is noticeably thicker. Accurascale's is also a slightly better fit. The roof detail on both is excellent. The moulded hinges on the Bachmann model will be more robust, but the Accurascale model has a better definition on some of the detail, for example, around the exhaust ports. The grille covers on both are really fine and impressive. I do like the woven mesh on the Bachmann model though. Plus, this model has a rotating fan, which the first batches of the Accurascale 37 don't have. When it comes to bogies, it really is a case of win-win for modellers. They are both excellent. The chains on the Bachmann model look a little more clunky however, but I really am nitpicking here. The two companies have differing approaches to fitting decoders. On the Bachmann model, it's a set of screws and a body removal, but on the Accurascale, it's a quick removal of the magnetically fitted roof panel to plug in your decoder, making it a lot less hassle. For many of you it will come down to cost. The Accurascale sound fitted model is £270, with the equivalent Bachmann sound fitted one retailing at £294. Whereas if you want the deluxe glazing rotating fan, the Bachmann model will set you back anywhere from £318 to £375. In my opinion, you're getting a lot more for your money with the Accurascale model. It's extremely well refined and presented, and that saving of £24 just might tip the balance for some of you. Personally speaking, I'll continue to buy both models, as for me it's all down to the livery and era of the model. If it ran in Scotland in the era that I cover, I'll be interested, regardless of what box it comes in, and I'm sure many of you are just like me in this respect. I really could sit here all day and play tennis between the two models. Some areas are stronger on the Accurascale model, while Bachmann have the narrowest of edges in other areas. It really is around 50-50 so far. Okay, it's bottom of the ninth, the scores are tied and it's time for the big one, as it's time to take these two models to the track. First I'll test the Accurascale model and then bring in the Bachmann one to compare the sound files and speakers. Okie dokie, first off, that was great fun to drive the Accurascale 37. It accelerates and brakes just like a real loco. The sound file is perfectly matched to the driving of the model and it sounds fantastic. The large speaker setup fitted in this model is near perfection. You get that low down grumble I've never heard so clearly on a model before. I also like the lighting control, where you can have the cab instrument panel lit or unlit. The marker lights are also quite dim, which I'm sure you can tweak with some CVs and alter that in no time. Okay, in the following clips I'll do a like for like sound test. I won't go through all the functions as I'd be here all day, but I'll do a cold start up, a pulling away, some horn tones, then slowing to a stop, and also how they sound when they're just ticking over. If you're going to have these sitting on shed or on a siding, you've got to be able to put up with the noise after all. I think both sound files are really very good. However, I can't get away from the fact that the speakers in the Accurascale 37 get the sounds across a little bit better, especially the low down grumble of the engine notes. Does this make the Bachmann one a poor sound model? Of course not. But to get the most out of the sound file, an upgrade of speakers would be needed. Right, it's time for my verdict. When taking everything into consideration, weighing up all the pros and cons, I have to say that the Accurascale model edges it by the very narrowest of margins. For me, it'd be like asking me to choose between a Ferrari and an Aston Martin, as both models really are up at the highest level. If I'm honest, I just preferred driving the Accurascale one just a little bit more. It sounded better, and it's just a little bit better in terms of value for money as well. I'm thrilled with my new model, and it sits perfectly alongside my Bachmann Class 37s, and we really are spoilt for choice in this class of loco now, which is what you really want. Congratulations to both Accurascale and Bachmann. They are both must-have products. What do you think of the verdict? Do you have these models? I'm really keen to hear your thoughts, so please share these in the comment section below. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed looking at these two stunning Class 37 models. It really was a close battle, and I'd be more than happy to have both models on the layout. If you've got yourself an Accurascale or indeed a Bachmann Class 37 on your layout, let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. In the meantime, take it easy, enjoy the sunshine, and cheers for now.